patience all. I hope someone's watching us for all this.
I hope not. Hey, John.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the August 13th, 2026 meeting of the Ag Trust. First order of business. I'd like to acknowledge Mike Steers. My hearing.
Seconds behind you.
The 2026 meeting of the Ag Trust. First order of business.
You sound pretty good.
Nicely done.
Well, I shut off the volume here. Hopefully it's recording
That's fine.
everywhere else.
That'll work.
Okay, go.
That works?
We're hoping.
You gonna hear that again? Oh, all right. The order of business, the resignation of Mike Steers from the Ag Trust as the appointee of the planning board. He has sent us a letter and we accept it with sincere regret. And I'm sure my fellow trustees will join me in thanking Mike for many, many, many years of service to the Ag Trust, to the town of Little Compton. And I'm glad that he will continue in service of the town on the planning board, but boy, I will miss him on the Ag Trust.
True. I'll second that.
John, let me just say, as the member who serves on both the Ag Trust and the Planning Board, when Mike was thinking this through, he met with me and asked if he were to do this, if I could fill his seat as the Planning Board designee to the Ag Trust, so that the Planning Board would only have one representative on this board, which would prevent others from having to recuse themselves on matters before the Planning Board, where the Ag Trust is a landowner, a butter of issues that come before that created conflicts, and we want to minimize them. So at the next meeting, we will decide this, but it's my intention to fill that role that Mike did for the Planning Board. And if that's the case, then the current seat that I have that I fill as an appointment of the town council would become vacant, and the town council would have to appoint a successor.
Okay, well, keep us informed of what you and the planning board decide, but thank you for the update. Anything further on any of that? Next, the consent agenda, unless there is anyone in the audience or on the trust. Did I miss the minutes? Oh, sorry. Let me back up to minutes. Let's handle the approval of minutes first. The executive session minutes from June 3rd, 2026. May I have a motion to approve?
So move.
One of you can second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion, comments? All those in favor as they are now written? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks very much. And now the public session minutes from July 1st, 2026. May I have a motion?
Move that we accept the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And finally, the executive session minutes from the meeting of July 1st, 2026. Do I hear a motion
So move.
and a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Now to the consent agenda. Unless there is a Ag Trust member or a member of the public who wishes to remove something from the consent agenda, we will simply approve that for filing. I see you raising your hand.
I just had a question about, there's a request to access a piece of land owned by the Ag Trust for a wetlands, national wetlands assessment. I wondered if you were planning to respond to that or would consider allowing that.
why don't you request that we remove it from the consent agenda and then we can discuss it?
My request would be to move it from the consent agenda so it may be discussed.
We will do so. So before we do that, anything else in the consent agenda? Then do I have a motion to file the consent agenda?
So moved. A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Now, the Enviro Science request to access property to sample wetlands. This is the one you're,
I would have overlooked it as well, but it was included in Cheryl's packet and, I think the EnviroScience is just the consultant that they're using. It's a national wetlands inventory, so it provides a national data set that's really useful. It supports NALCA funds, which are conservation funds that the Ag Trust and the Nature Conservancy have used here in Little Compton before, have been very influential in Southern Rhode Island land conservation. It seems like what they're asking for is willingness. You came up as a random point as a wetland in Rhode Island that they're interested in including in their study. I just wondered if you would consider allowing that or participating so that they.
so these would be on, they would do their study on properties that the Ag Trust has either owns or has an easement on, or
Standing, no, it falls near the Boddington property and it's not even.
there's a specific property they name.
Yes, it's in your packet. You'll see a dot on a map. They obviously auto-generated random samples of wetlands in Rhode Island and then looked up property owners. But I would assume that being a conservation group, you would be all the people they'll probably have to contact to get the number of sample points they need in Rhode Island, you would be an easy one to say yes to. So I wondered if you would consider saying yes. It didn't make it easy. It's not on a map and it's actually, the epicenter is private land, but it's the Boddington wetland that seems to be the focus of.
Do we have,
So,
do we have access to the data at any point?
yeah, it's all public. There's a link right in the letter. It explains what it's for and how it's used. It's not for compliance. It's just for general, like, status of the nation's wetlands. This seems like a not very hard thing to say yes to if you were so inclined. I just want to slip through the facts. Like, or see, it didn't elevate to something.
Yeah.
It seems actionable.
Thank you for raising it. I assume you've looked through it and you think this is obviously you think it's a good idea.
Program. I have no idea what the consultants are, what they're asking for. You'd have to follow up with them. I'd be happy to do that on your behalf, whatever, but the national wetlands inventory and assessment is a longstanding data set that.
Shall,
Do you know if there is, I should know this, but I don't, do you know if there's a response date that we have to respond by?
I think in there they said, can you send this survey back in 2 weeks? But who knows? Again, knowing nothing, I assume that they're probably gonna get a whole lot of crickets from most private landowners, so.
I would suggest that we ask Carol to look more deeply into this and perhaps even prepare whatever information there is. And would that be a relatively simple thing for you to do?
I have a feeling it would be a 10-minute thing, but I can report back. I will not invest significant time, but if it's just a matter of saying like, yes, here's somebody you can contact to get on the property, go do it today.
Well, since we have a trust meeting in basically 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, could you look into it and come back at that meeting and then at least it'll be in our packets with the recommendation and, okay? Is that okay? Anything further? Thank you, Carol, for raising that. Correspondence. This is, I think, the second time we've heard from Ms. Bilecki about farmland. First response to her was, got a couple of plots, but nothing of the size she's looking in, and I'm sure nothing has changed.
She's all, if you read, she's looking for a barn and a house and
Electric and water,
it's kind of,
20 minutes from 10,000 people.
it's kind of,
looking for that, Emma.
be nice so we could
Okay.
help her, but I don't think.
Okay.
We could probably provide a couple acres here and there, but not anything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
we replied to her the first time in that.
I think nothing has changed as a response. Yeah.
John, while we're on this, I saw the correspondence adjacent to this from D. Levante at Land for Good. Before I joined the Ag Trust, I don't know whether this group has ever had a presentation from D on Land for Good's work.
I smiled because she contacted me, I'm gonna say a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I went and had lunch with her partners, and then crickets. So, anyway,
They are
Right.
a really good nonprofit organization in New England that acts as a matchmaker connecting next generation farmers with private landowners or land trusts that have land that could potentially be farmed. And I think, just for down the road, they could be a partner organization to work with us on an opportunistic way. And I would recommend that we invite her in and just do a short presentation on Land for Good's work region and how we might work together in the future. If no one objects, I think it'd be worth it.
would you like to happy to,
Sure.
yeah, reach out and,
Okay.
see what's,
Thank you.
I enjoyed our time together. I hope it wasn't my hesitancy to follow up, but I don't think it was. Okay. Finance Committee Treasurer's Report. Mr. Bowen.
The account balances for the period July 1 to July 31, the checking account beginning balance $12,857. There were $25,000 that were deposited into it. Debits of $17,488 for an ending balance of $20,639. The money market account beginning balance $1,689,418. Deposits of $79,954. Debits of $25,000. The interest earned was $4,302 for an ending balance of $1,748,674. The savings account, the beginning balance, $4,217,332. The interest earned $11,297 for an ending balance of $4,228,630. The total ending balance for all the accounts, $5,997,043.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. I think we skipped over the Charlie Merrow Westport correspondence. I
So
don't know if we want to announce that.
second
That's okay.
the fall or whatever this tonight. So is that in our packets?
Yes. It's the last page behind the Monty referral email.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Okay.
I'm not entirely clear. Somebody added this to correspondence and we skipped over it. So I wasn't sure if we wanted to read the planning board notice, if it was just a matter of public notification or
I think it's just
skip over.
public notification.
In other words, they're doing something in Westport and they notified us.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a butters.
We're a butters.
Right, yeah, I know.
The other side of the book. Okay. All right. Thank you for
That was helpful.
Lord knows I need it. Okay. Payment of bills.
We have bills in total of $26,598.60 for the, they are included in your, it was circulated with the packet with two additions. One for WB Mason, $749.73, and another for WB Mason, $43.99.
Do I hear a motion to have the bills paid as presented by our treasurer?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Cheryl, our monthly credit card application and usage discussion.
My understanding is as soon as the audit is done, John will be going to the credit union or the bank and we will be getting our debit card.
So says you. We'll see.
Debit card or credit card?
Debit card, I believe.
I believe it's
Debit.
debit.
Debit card.
We can use it as a credit card. It doesn't,
Okay, I won't hold my breath, but thank you.
I'm optimistic.
Transfer tax forms? Steve, Ed?
Happy to, on sales of $14,942,857, $435,714.28 were collected in transfer taxes. If I may, I would like to suggest that numbers 3556 and 3557 read under review rather than disputed.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. So Cheryl, is that something that you can just revise quickly? Thank you very much.
I just wanted to mention on the taxable amount on 8 for 3557. Should that, I believe that should read 5175000.
What does it read now?
It reads 562500. I don't think it considers the deduction of
Any?
150.
Yeah. See it, Cheryl? Sorry. Number 10 on your sheet. The last
Column
row.
H.
They didn't take out the deduction,
Okay,
the tax, the tax,
okay, yeah.
right?
That's just a update to our sheet for track stuff. Okay. And finally, Cheryl, printing of letterhead and envelope with the lighthouse logo. Wait, I'll give you,
Let me just.
sorry, yep, you go ahead.
So last year, sometimes we approved going with the lighthouse logo. We're now at a place where we need envelopes and stationery. So I just want to make sure that you're good with going with that logo on that.
Yep, thank you. So you'll have letterhead created. Great, thank you. Okay, subcommittee reports, strategy committee update.
The update is that Mike resigned and we need an additional member for the strategy committee. Other than that, there is nothing to update.
Okay,
And an additional, probably an additional member of the Land Protection Committee, since Mike also served on that. So we may want to consider that as well.
Is your microphone on, Steve? If you push that green button.
Thank you.
I don't think mine's on.
Since I haven't been assigned to committees yet, I've been speaking with members about the work and coming up to speed. So I think by next meeting, I should be able to give you a sense where I think I could be most helpful to the trust. So keep that in mind.
Perfect. Why don't we then hold on figuring out what to do with Mike's vacancies until Carter gives us a chance to hear his thoughts, and then we'll figure out what's next. And maybe by then, well, if the Carter Mike swap goes through, we'll have to get a new member from the town council, which will take a month or something. Okay. Ag Trust website update, anything there?
Just wanted to quickly mention if somebody had tried to use the map feature on the website previously and experienced essentially no functionality, it is now updated and works. And if in future anybody finds a bug, this bug was pointed out actually by Carolyn, thank you. It was a simple JavaScript update issue. Just please reach out so that we're aware. But I think we're fully operational again. So sorry to anybody if that occurred.
Thank you for staying on top of it.
Yeah. I think the next item is also my,
Could you take your mic, now that you've alerted me, could you take your microphone and There you go.
The next item is also having to do with something I'm proposing, and actually Cheryl might be the best person to explain this. We got 3 different quotes for our farmer gathering in November, which is our policy, and I wanted to propose that we approve the proposed pig roast option from Bluestone Gardens, which is our local farmer. They are in Tiverton. They do an excellent job. I think the trust has an obligation to keep its dollars, the local agricultural economy, as much as possible. And so that would be my preference. I think you all have all of the quotes. One of the options was actually not available for the date that we had in mind, but Bluestone is. So if we could confirm tonight, maybe make a motion to do that, we can get our deposit in and secure them for the event.
So to put that in the form of a motion?
So I would like to make a motion to either pay a deposit or whatever is necessary to secure Bluestone Gardens Farmstead for the November farmer gathering at the game club.
The amount not to exceed a certain amount, or do we just have the whole?
I think the deposit is a portion of the total, which is just over the $5,000 limit. So I suspect that it's not going to be in excess of $5,000.
No, I wouldn't think so. No.
So what do you want, the whole thing or deposit?
I think we just pay a deposit. Is that right, Cheryl?
We can, yeah. I believe that's what he wants as a deposit.
Yeah, so I would, oh, sorry, go ahead. Is it a percentage or?
I don't recall.
I might suggest
Yep,
that the motion reflect that we will choose this particular
vendor.
vendor at the quote that he gave us.
Yep.
And we'll just pay the deposit for the time being. But I think we should probably approve the vendor and the total amount.
Okay. So I'll amend the motion to
All right.
select Bluestone Gardens and Farmstead as the vendor for the farmer dinner. Moving that we approve this fee, the total being $5,193.75. And that we pay the necessary deposit to secure the vendor for the event.
There we go.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Making me hungry.
So good job.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, you two. Appreciate it.
Sure. And then really quickly, I just want to make one last plea that all trustees get me content for our first newsletter. So I'm aiming to have a really tight draft before the end of September that can go out and will be kind of all encompassing about all the work that we've been doing this year, introducing who we are and so forth. So if there are particular items that you are excited about sharing, please send them my way.
Can I just, who made the motion to select Bluestone? Who made the last motion?
I made the motion.
Taylor.
Who seconded?
I think Steve did.
Second it.
You. Okay, I'm good.
And Carter said he was hungry as a result.
Cheryl, I'm just going to use this opportunity to remind you that for the September agenda,
Okay,
we put the annual report on it.
I've already asked John for the necessary paperwork.
Okay, great. Stewardship Committee. Wayne, Taylor, who's up?
I believe Mr. Smith is here to talk about Harrison. Is that you, Bill?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Court Cabell, I'm with the Harrison Trust. As you all know, property, but I'm doing Bill Smith again. Daughters. A little bit of background, where it's a 31-acre piece. They're trying to divide it into 5 house lots, all owned by the family, kind of family compound with a fairly elaborate barn and horse facility.
Mr. Schwab, what, can the people watching remotely hear without the microphone? Should we
Oh,
ask
yeah.
Mr. Schwab
Sorry.
to pick up
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
remote audience?
Thank you, Carter.
Yeah.
Want me to recap or? Want me to recap or?
You didn't get too far. That's okay.
We've been on conceptual up planning board for a 5-lot subdivision on this 31 acres. Why it's here is pretty simple. This was the old Almy division that if some of you were here, you remember it. And was an ag trust and easement on the property that between West Main Road and this property, which is the 31 acres on the water. Saw it at the time to access the property was there was 2 lots in the back, lot 9 and lot 10, and we're lot 9, correct? There is a 40-foot easement that's a separate piece of property known as lot 7, owned by the trust. That 40-foot easement in the conservation easement has language to say that it was specifically designed and built for the sole purpose of having access just to the back lot, just to lot 9. So you're not supposed to access lot 9 and then go on to 10 or take a left and go in any other direction. Between the planning board and the ag trust at the time, they set parameters. The road, the improved portion of the road, if it was merely divided into 2 pieces, would be 16 feet wide. But if it was divided into more than that, would be 20 feet wide. It was specifically to be gravel in accordance with good practices. So we have this in our deed, and in the easement is the absolute right for the Harrison family to get there. But it is your road, and if nothing else out of courtesy, we would like to show you what we're going to do before we go to the planning board, and we're scheduled there on September 1st. With the 40-foot road wide, you could in fact put the 20-foot easement gravel way directly in the middle, or you could put it to the left or put it to the right. Bill Smith's going to tell you that he designed some drainage on it because planning board is obviously worried about drainage. So would you be worried about your farmers to all of the area that's accessed on what direction am I on the right side of that road?
No. Farming.
Yeah.
The north.
Yeah, so the north side, everybody that has access on this lot 7 also accesses ag trust and farmland to the north. To the south, there's what we refer to as a spite strip, and you can't get to that land. So the easement just goes to the north. So by sliding the road a little closer to the south side, that gives a better turning radius for people to go onto the farm. A pretty good argument that whenever you have a roadway that's 300 feet long that abuts a farm, that farmer could take a right anywhere along that 300 feet. So you could leave that all wide open, and anywhere he wants to enter the farm, they could enter the farm. Because of the drainage, we're going to ask the planning board and you to discuss with the farmers on how many times they want to have culverts, if you will, across the drainage and onto their property. So there'd be 2 or 3 controlled areas during that strip. What that allows us to do by pushing the road a little bit to the south side is to make a nice wide turn in case they have a combine or something that is larger than what might have a turning radius if we put that road right in the middle. And the other thing they want to do is, and there's Brittany has been kind enough to put kind of an artist rendition together. It has to be gravel, so there's no doubt it's going to be gravel. But they would like to put a fence along that side and to put a white railed fence between the farm property, obviously leaving open 2 or 3 areas, whatever the farmers or board decides, areas that we would cross and use it right to left. That just hopefully makes it a better looking farm road than it's just a dirt road, as you know now. And we're just trying to improve it to make it gravel, make it environmentally sound as designed by the Ag Trust in the first place, but aesthetically a little more pleasing. There was a row of trees that was sporadically planted on that fence line. With the openings, we believe that would look nice, meet all of the concerns of the farmer to have very accurate, adequate means of ingress and egress. And that's what we'd like to ask the planning board with a blessing that says, you know, we went to the owners and they seem not to have an objection to this. We can leave it just a
dirt road with no drainage and no side and center it. I just don't see where that, I don't think our needs are any different or adverse or challenged in any way by what I would be recommending if I were the farmer or the ag trust. Say it.
Go ahead. Sorry. Can I just ask one question for clarification?
Sure.
I thought it was a 50-foot right of way. Did I misread that? Is 40? Okay, all right.
The travel way must be 20. And I'll
Hey, I knew the 20. I thought it was 50 for some reason.
add one thing that I left out. One of the reasons that we're trying to do it early, the process to get subdivisions done can be long. And we have the ability to draw a permit and start the first house tomorrow because you can always do it as one lot. And to do that, we want to improve that road so that vehicles can get there. Ultimately, when the planning board, if it's anything more than a single lot, the planning board has the right to make the subdivision private road, not only with the homeowners association that the 5 lots would be responsible for, but also up to town specs. So that's going to have to be excavated of loam, gravel, compact, and done. So we obviously don't want to put it in 5 feet to the left of center, then have you come back and say, can you move it 10 feet to the right? Everything else can be deferred a bit on when the fence goes in or when the trees go in. But to start this, to make sure that we have a road that is not only traversable for the trucks that would need to get down there during the construction period, but also meet, RIDOT soil and sedimentation and not have dragged out onto Main Road. We need to do some improvements first. And it may be putting the proverbial cart before the horse, but it makes sense to do it. And if we do it right, and if Department of Public Works says that is exactly asked them to do. We just want to make sure the place that we put it is where you are okay with it.
But I just had a quick question. This fence looks really nice. Does it limit, do you know if the farmers access that field through the right of way?
I'll speak,
Well, that's what we're talking about. That farmer access.
I'll speak to that because I farm this piece.
Microphone.
This plan, it's encroaching on farmland. The fence looks nice, the trees look nice, but in my estimation, it's not a place for it. Because the trust owns the way and the farmland, so we should be able to farm as much as we can, and we will. On the other side of the driveway, you want to put shrubs, which it doesn't protect, that has no
Impact.
on the ag land is fine, but the fence and the trees, I'm against that.
On the north side.
North side, yes, sir. And one other point, when the Doherty's put in their road on the north side, where stipulation was made that none of the topsoil was to leave the farm. And I'd like to put that stipulation in here too.
Not leave the farm.
Leave the ag land.
Still needs to be excavated, but just left where your farmer directs us to pile it.
Say that again?
Not to leave the farm, but to be excavated and left where you ask us to pile it.
Back there and tell them,
Yeah.
we want it, and it wouldn't leave.
Yeah,
That would make sense to me.
just to correct, it is a 50-foot easement.
Yes.
It's on the sheet.
May I ask you a question? Court, I didn't, this is a bit of a wild card here. It wasn't included in the packet, so you're taking me by surprise. I did read the easement, but I didn't bring a copy with me. We're entitled to construct a fence and plant trees and add cobblestones? Or are you asking to revisit the easement?
No, I don't think we have a right to revisit the easement. I can read you the easement. The easement's 50 feet and we have the right to pass and repass for egress. I'm not going to fight with you, but there's an argument that we can use that whole 50 feet. That's our 50 feet. We could use it. We don't need 50 feet. We need 20 because you asked us to do that. We're trying to slide the 20 So if we leave the 20 in the center of a 50-foot easement, then that would be 10 feet and then to be 15 feet of land available to a farmer. What I'm asking to do is sliding it 5 feet further. And we can leave the same amount for the farmer and still probably have a fence because of where we chose to move the road the furthest to the left. Because there's no access to the land to the left. So when you have a 50-foot easement, we would generally have a right, I believe legally, to put that road anywhere in that 50 feet. We took that, if we put it all the way to the right though, all the way to the north, that would not be very neighborly because we would certainly restrict the farmer from using any of that. By pushing it, the further we go left, then the more we could leave for farm. But we would also like it a little bit defined. So is there a compromise whereby pushing it left, we can guarantee you the same amount, and I'm not saying the same amount if we took it to the right, but normally we would all perceive that it was contemplated that the road go in the middle. Well, if a 40-foot road goes in the middle of, a 20-foot road goes in the middle of a 50-foot right-of-way, you would have 15 feet from the right shoulder to the property line.
I don't think the issue here is exactly where the road goes, and I appreciate you being flexible and taking us through that. I think the issue is that you showed up with a fence and a line of trees that was not in the pre-meeting packet, and you're talking as if you have the right to do whatever you want in the 50-foot. Oh, I think that's what I heard.
I'm asking. No, I said that I think that if there was a driveway and it was one lot and we weren't going to the planning board and we had a 50-foot right-of-way, then we could create a driveway on the 15 feet closest to this property.
I think
That's the nature of having a 50-foot easement. That wouldn't be very neighborly, and that's not why we're here. But I'm just saying that that is what could probably happen. I'm also saying that most people, when you perceive, my bet is when the planning board perceived a 50-foot right-of-way, they perceived that the traveled way would go in the middle, like it is in almost every right-of-way in town.
Yeah, again, Court,
Trying to slide it.
I think that's a very reasonable discussion to have as to where you put the 20-foot travel way within the 50-foot right of way. Unfortunately, I don't think this plan is just about where we put the 20-foot travel way. And I think that's where we're getting a little caught up.
I didn't see that till today either, by the way, but I think even on another day, we could figure out what to do on this 30 feet to the side. And I think very specifically from the farmer's point of view, does a farmer need to access any given point off that road? If I decide to take a right 10 feet off or 20 foot off or 30 foot off, or can it be in designated areas? Because that's going to affect our drainage too. Because we have to put drainage in.
Why would I agree to something that's going to restrict the farming access when we already have full access? Why would this group agree to,
Because the easement gave us permission to do utilities and
they have to make a certain point, different point, when that's not the way it is now, and that's not the way it's always been. I'm gonna be clear, I don't like this fence and I don't like the trees. If you wanted to have grass, I could go in and out, turn around, fine.
Can I just,
the thing we're trying to balance on that. I'm not, again,
I think, Court, if I could, I heard you say is that there's drainage and you're talking about access points to cross the drainage, so there'll be a culvert. I think that's the variety of.
soft swale, we need some, yeah.
We don't have to cross that.
Because we have to, what the easement says is that we have that area to put not only the 20-foot right of way, including utilities, drainage, et cetera. I don't know what et cetera means, but I don't, it's another day.
Drainage on the south side, which
shows it on
Oh.
the south, right?
Drainage on the south, then we're not crossing drainage ditches. We're merely having a X-foot grass strip to maintain this and give it a lane look
So then
to straight to corn.
then the limitation and I know you just saw it today, so then the limitations you're talking about to the north is openings in the fence? Is that what you're suggesting? Because it's not going to be drainage.
If there was going to be a fence, there would need openings in the fence to get access and
Okay, so the drainage is to the south.
We tried to drainage on the south, so it didn't interfere with being able to.
Right.
Access the field.
Appreciate that. Okay.
and that limits how far we can push the road. We can't take the road right up against a stone wall because we need drainage.
So
Taking it as far as we can.
Yeah, you
if I
can't,
could,
you can't put it against a stone wall because there's a 2-foot buffer there, right? So,
so,
but
but for clarification, what are you asking for tonight?
We're trying to improve the road.
Yeah.
And do you have the dimensions on how far off center you want to put that at the 20 feet? Leaving open? Yeah.
I guess, like Court said, I think we have the right to put the road in per the original subdivision plan and the other agreements. It's trees, fence, that sort of thing that we wanted your take on. I think we're hearing loud and clear that the fence is not a desirable thing to have on that north side. So we proposed to put the road in 20 feet wide per the documents. Roughly centered in there, and we'd have the drainage on the south side, grass strip on the north side.
Any objection to trees on the south side, the non-farming side?
Oh. Wayne,
what's that?
any objection to trees on the south side?
No, because we can't farm that, so.
Yeah.
That would be, that's one solution, yes.
Okay.
And the practical matter would be farmed right to the road. Would there be a 5-foot buffer on the side of some type thing I can say there's a landscaped small area, whether it's trees or not?
We could work something out where, we left the strip of grass here.
And
The farm, access it with machinery and then
the further I push this that way, the greater I reserve.
I think
farmer.
it's up to us where you put it. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think, we don't want to see it, so furthest away that it can be. I think it should be probably right where the road is now, and that's about what the picture shows. I don't know.
Bill,
Centered now? Is it centered now or is it off-centered?
Bill, do you know how far off of center you're suggesting the 20-foot travel way go?
I guess we were originally gonna try and put it down the middle. We tee it up to where it comes in now at West Main Road, and then generally, down the center.
Widen it left instead of widen it right.
So it's about where the road is now, correct?
Yeah,
Pretty much, maybe, a foot either way.
this shows on your plan where the road is now. It's kind of tough to actually define that because it's grown over. It does cause it south a little bit more than just the center. You can see the dashed line on that plan. It does show.
Yeah, and this looks a little bigger than the south side, but
Yes,
And what's the current width?
current width is about 10 feet.
So as you widen it 10 feet, you could easily go 5 feet in each direction from the current, or try to skip that 7 one way and 3 the other, still leaving it generally in the same place, but trying to maximize.
We did want to have a shallow swale on that south side, that gas to hold water, so it's fairly steep.
But there is water issues there. I understand that.
So trying to control.
The picture shows that this driveway is more to the north than the original. Because if the stone wall on the south side, there's only like a 3-foot return to the
Just so I don't get Brittany in trouble. The picture was just to show what
line,
like to look like, not necessarily exactly where it was
I
located.
understand you gotta have drainage, on that because there's some issues there. My issue is keep it as close to the south as you can and still have it look, so be able to drain, put your drainage in and whatnot. That's my thought. But the fence and the trees are definitely not for me.
Is there any input, the specifications on building the gravel road? I assume you just,
We follow the
Yeah.
subdivision standards. Don't run and then 8 inches of processed over top of that compacted. Pretty much like a regular gravel subdivision road would be.
okay. In the current, in this AI, whatever it is, am I looking at a slight crown to it? Is it falling off on both sides or?
Yeah, that was really more just to give you a sense.
Rendition.
Like the super elevated. And not crown the road, but super elevated, so that it's high on the north side, lower on the south side, so it fits into the drainage swale. That way I don't have to put a swale on the north side, and then it makes it harder to get in and out.
Right.
And would that be of any impact to getting farm vehicles off the road? No.
It's a slight pitch.
Yeah.
No.
It's not a big hill to.
Yeah.
And it would match grade on the north side, so it wouldn't be.
Oh, great. Okay.
And none of the drainage would be anticipated to be encroaching on that farmable, tillable area. Is that correct?
No.
I would just like to register my objection to the cobblestones too. I think it's an incredibly suburban touch to what a rural potato field.
So DEM, DOT typically likes us to have some sort of a paved apron or some sort of a solid apron, so we're not dragging gravel.
Yeah, I
off the
understand.
road, which could cause cracked windshields, damage, things like that. So we can do that work in the highway right of way, and not put any cobblestones in the
Ag trust.
I've got to have something there just to keep the
Yeah.
highway clean.
One other question, Bill. If you, after you get all your permits, approvals, and how soon would you start this project?
We were thinking to do it this fall, harvest. After they've harvested.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that, because where I would like to see the topsoil deposited, placed, or whatever, is in the cropland, which is in the cornfield. So if you want to save the topsoil, I think probably
Any idea?
October or so, I think the corn will probably be off by then.
Any idea? I was gonna say, what's the typical cycle?
Yeah, October, maybe if mid-October, most likely by the 1st of October, it should be gone. That's all I have.
Much room between the
Any,
and the road now,
any other thoughts from members?
right?
Any other thoughts from members?
If there are trees that do get planted, it might be nice to know what type you're suggesting, or deciduous or evergreen or any of that.
If
If they're
I don't-
on the opposite side away from the crops.
Oh, you're talking about the south side tree? Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't mean to suggest that we abut the cornfield with trees of any nature, to be clear. I think the shade, the roots, all of it, yeah.
Yeah, all that.
Um,
I think we could put a package together, come back or at a later time. And that's not critical for the construction of the road.
Okay.
That's more important to be able to start that sooner rather than.
Perhaps after the planning board grants you final approval, and then every issue with the roadway is certain.
Yeah, all of the issues in the roadway regarding grass and things can wait, except again, if we go in to try to put a strip in that we can start utilizing. Want to make sure it's in the right place. And to me, it's going to be close to center, but pushed to the south without, encroaching and because of drainage, it's not going to encroach on that 2-foot strip, but it's close to the south to gain some of that. And with that pitch and elevation, everything else we can come back and hopefully say we get 5 feet of grass where it ends. So we have one kind of mobile landscape strip, if you will.
Bill, when are you in front of the planning board? I'm sorry,
September 1st.
next month, okay.
And then we'll
It'll be
back if we have a tree plan, whether it's south or north, but it'll be south based on.
days before ag trust meeting typically. 1 day. Tuesday, Wednesday, it was to 1 day. Yeah, all right. Okay. Do you want to ask them to come back with more definition at our next meeting or?
Yeah.
It might make sense for October after we get the input from.
If you can wait, then that'd be great.
Again, again, time is of the essence only for making sure we put this 20 feet road in a spot that we don't have no place to put the dirt because we haven't waited for corn, and that we have to move it because we didn't edge it to the south. As long as we can edge it to the south and wait so we don't hurt the corn, everything else can wait. And if it's October or November, I don't think it really matters.
So Bill, you've presented to us, is that in essence where you want to put the road? Does anybody, I think we're safe at saying placement of the road feels is in the right place.
We certainly have sense of what you're looking for.
Okay.
Future access.
Okay.
And I assume that we stake it before we do it. And if wants us to call and have someone review those stakes, that works too. Going to stake it before they drive a
We're
bull.
gonna stake it before the,
Yeah, right.
Doesn't that make sense?
that'd be great.
Microphone isn't on.
Sorry?
I say, I can't hear him, get your microphone on.
Yeah. They want to,
Stake it
I'm
before.
going to stake it. Why doesn't it make sense to make a phone call and go by?
that'd be much appreciated. If you could stake it, Bill, and just,
And if you're there all the time, it wouldn't matter, right?
okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is BDRs.
Yes,
I'm going to jump right in.
sure.
Okay, keep the train moving. So in the past, the trust has received kind of a fiscal year memo from Mosaic Land Management outlining the hourly rates of the principal and associates for the coming year. And as a result of our goal setting exercise this year, we, for lack of a better way of putting this, dumped in a bit of extra work in the lap of Mosaic Land Management. And
I think we gave them the opportunity for more work.
we did. To be as transparent as possible, because I know, having looked at the minutes before and reviewed some of the line items on invoices and seen fluctuating costs and kind of wondered, like, geez, why are these invoices so high? I wanted to take an opportunity to outline the scope and cost of work associated with completing the backlog of BDRs that the trust currently has.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
So we asked, we were tasked as the stewardship subcommittee to come up with a full, complete list of those BDRs. And thank you to John Berg for clarifying some of the co-held, and actually Adam Yorks as well, some of the properties that we oversee, for lack of a better term, on, whether or not it makes sense to produce BDRs where it might be redundant or not necessary. And we came up with a list of 10 BDRs to get us across the finish line. So Carolyn kindly provided a rundown of what those properties are, the hours to complete, some information, which you all have had a chance to review. And I think what we are looking to do now is to invite any questions and to give Carolyn and her team the approval so they can do that work and get us across the finish line by the end of the calendar year. So I guess, does anybody have any questions or want to speak up about anything?
Hold on a second. Trying to find the blue sheet. Wasn't there a blue sheet in this?
This one here.
That one?
Very long.
Yes. Separate. No, was that, it was separate. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Gee, okay. So whenever I see need to clarify, I sort of perk my ears.
If I may, might come from the fact that this was printed from Excel workbook. And he translated to a PDF. So what you're seeing is that was the list I sent you back in May that needed clarification.
Right.
It has now been clarified.
Yes.
They are blue because there is a comment that is not in your printed materials associated with the fact that all of those turned blue because on this date, the stewardship committee made a determination based on conversations with partners that they were not going to pursue. Because of these problems. That doesn't appear on what got printed out, sorry.
That's okay. So if you remember, we started the work of trying to clarify this by understanding who our partners are on the properties that are highlighted. Spoke with Adam about SBA and John about TNC properties. We came up with a plan to include 10 properties, and then we actually decided to do a separate, what's called condition report for Rock Farm, because what we have in our records is sort of outdated and doesn't reflect the current ownership structure there. So we are lumping all of this kind of outstanding work together in this memo to outline essentially what is left to complete. So nobody's caught off guard with invoices coming in on a monthly basis out this planer each time. It's just meant to give everybody a chance to dig in and understand what the expectations are and the goalposts are and the costs.
Okay, so I'm gonna be just.
Sure.
You say we need 16 BDRs.
No,
No?
it's 10.
10, yeah. So we went through this blue paper and came up with 10.
But why do I see BDRs needed 16?
I don't know where you're looking on the second page.
In the Carol
And
Rocky,
condition reports or current condition reports.
Dated July 30th.
yes.
10, I'm sorry.
Taking all this,
16 plus 3 condition reports. Total of 16.
16, okay.
So
Right.
3 are what are considered current condition reports. So not actual BDRs, but just like an update to the records associated with Treaty Rock Farm.
Okay, so
So we had some in the queue and then we looked at 10 to be added to the queue.
so the BDR needed page, there are 11 there. I'm just looking at the handout, trying to understand.
Yeah, yeah. So there's 2.
BDR needed 11 properties there. Then there's BDR and final review. I'm guessing we're not counting those because you've already done those. Then there's BDR current, those are all the ones that we've already done.
It does look. Are
Carol, I'm really not trying to be difficult. Sorry.
It should be changed.
So how many
Well,
are you asking to do?
I think there's 10 on BDR needed. One of those rows is just the title, so it doesn't count toward the,
Yeah. So BDR, well, I
I think you're right.
yeah.
think it's 11, but that's okay.
Plus 3. I mean,
Okay, so my whole point is the July 30th memo that says we're looking for a total of $44,700. That, could I say it's no longer accurate?
no, so there are 13.
Yeah,
There are 11 on that list.
yep,
If you look at the next stage of the workbook, that is that are ongoing now,
yep.
that makes 13, and then 3 current condition reports requested for Treaty Rock. Brings the total to 16.
Okay. Perfect. I couldn't get there from what you gave us, that's all. All right. Sorry.
Right, that's okay. It's good. So if this is correct and doesn't need to be amended, I would suggest that we make a motion to accept the proposed scope of work and cost for Mosaic Land Management to complete the outstanding BDRs and condition reports that we all agreed need to be done by the end of the calendar year. And if there's no other things that we need to discuss, yep,
No, is that a motion?
that's my motion.
I'll second that motion.
Need further discussion? I've never heard the phrase current condition report. Is that a new thing or a?
So BDRs are meant to be permanent, so you don't update them or change them. But in a case like Treaty Rock, where the BDR was done prior to closing,
Yeah.
final arrangement allowed for the subdivision, which split ownership into 3 parts, very tricky lines. It's taken us forever to figure that out.
Yeah.
That BDR is not really helpful to the current situation.
I got it.
But you don't want to replace it or legally have it go away. You just want to create something new that is more relevant without giving the impression that you are
Right.
negating that original work that was done.
Yeah, we have discussed this. I remember this conversation. I just
Phrase current conditions
hadn't heard the current condition.
is a different term.
These are all
Give
legal.
me a little bit of information. I get really dangerous, but also stupid. So I apologize for putting you through that, but I appreciate the.
Now's the time to ask. Yeah.
I've been very sick. I'm sorry.
Oh.
I did this memo at the last minute and I was like, not well when I did it. So when you asked the question, it was like, I'm not even sure what I put in there. So I'm glad that it was right in the end. And sorry it took me a second to get.
No, I'm sorry to put you through it. I hope you're feeling better now. Okay, thank you. All right.
So the motion on the table,
Seconded. I think I've asked my questions.
Let me ask one question.
Yeah.
Is that a doable thing for you to do 10 by the end of the year?
It is. It's going to be an increase in capacity for the 3 of us collectively. So, I mean, you'll probably see our bills higher than you would have otherwise because we're doing other things that you've also asked us to do, but trying to up the game a little there. But I think it's doable.
Okay. And at the
Run, but doable.
conclusion of these 16, does that mean that we are thoroughly up to date?
It does, and it means you'll be in the luxurious position of actually doing BDRs, hopefully. You know, as you acquire new parcels in advance as part of your acquisition process, all of the things that.
Okay, so despite my questions and despite my trying to figure it all out, this is a major league accomplishment.
yes.
I know you're not there yet.
We have been working on since 2017.
So for 10 years, we've been slowly trying to catch up and now quickly trying to catch up. And this is, I just want to thank Taylor, first of all, for taking the bull by the horns, getting it done. But Carol, you've been there every step of the way, and the trust would not be even close to being able to do this without your help. So Julia, Adam, thank you all. Yeah. Okay. Boy, STA will be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll share the good news. I think you guys got to find something else to.
We need to,
Number us on.
need to vote on.
Yes, we have a
Yeah.
second,
Thank you, Carter.
and now we need to.
Okay, so we have a motion which has been seconded. I've asked for discussion. I think we're done. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Lease terms.
I asked for lease terms to be put on the agenda based on a request from Skip Paul, who seems to have turned into a pumpkin and is no longer here. So
Keep it next time?
Let's get bedtime.
I'm happy to keep it to next time. I think Skip was, when he approached me, the question was about the 3-year term. I know that to a certain degree, it has been discussed that certain grant opportunities that the USDA has may require longer lease terms, and something that we ought to consider. And I suppose we could do that, when we bring it up at the next meeting if, Skip is here.
We, not to interrupt you, Ed, but we have increased,
Yeah.
our yearly, because of, grant, opportunities. So it's not a strange process for us. I think we did it for Craig for a cover crop.
Do you remember how we got to 3 years sort of as our standard length?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I think that's a normal, with a 3 years with a 2-year option to renew. So it's a 5-year lease,
Okay.
essentially.
I mean, I'll be interested in your input ultimately. 3 years, if a farmer's gonna invest in
Right.
getting the field in good shape, 3 years just feels short.
Yeah, but then you consider it's actually 5 years,
With the option.
and I don't think we've ever yanked some land from somebody. We always renewed with the 2-year renewal. I mean, if you give too much of a lease and things are going south.
Right, yeah.
don't like it,
Right.
we can get out of it fairly quickly.
Okay.
I think with a 5-year lease,
With the option, yeah.
the 3 with the 2-year option, I mean,
Okay.
it's pretty fair.
All right, so we'll bring this back up when Skip is able to join us.
Back, the next item on the agenda was also at Skip's request.
Yes, it was.
I asked Daryl
You got a new best friend.
to put it on, and that was, specifically the farmed area that he has for the lease of road property. One issues, and I think that this probably should have been established when this lease was signed, but that it doesn't designate a specific portion of that lot. And it wasn't an issue until, the additional farm was established next to it. So Skip provided me a map of what the USDA, what he reports to the USDA, and what that lot is that was defined, I believe, for his well grant on that lot. And that there's some discrepancy between that western line and where Mr. Cadero begins, where his eastern line is. So, but the lease, is kind of ambiguous, and it doesn't really specifically define what area is.
So we're gonna.
It could be revisited in 2026 when.
So can I interrupt here? We actually have,
I'm just, do we want to just hold this until?
it's
back,
about
or-
this. I was sort of also putting this on the agenda to update everybody about
Okay.
staking and mapping that, since that has since occurred. So whatever the USDA map is kind of one piece of it, but there's an additional, I don't know if Julia wants to come up and explain what was just done up there with staking. But the thought was the stewardship subcommittee decided to map that in terms of staking, and then also provide a map to be included with a lease renewal, which is up at the end of this year. So 2026 will not be an issue, but it has since, I'm sure Skip saw the stakes. But if you want to just quickly outline.
Just super briefly, none of the leases have very good parameters as to what piece of the parcel is being leased. So I've had that issue before when we go to do monitoring, and maybe this is the clearest because it's one solid piece to 3 different farmers. And a lot of times there's a stone wall or it's very clear, but there are more wiggly lines in places. So in talking to Taylor, she asked me to go out and put flags at the place where we had, because we knew this was an issue, when Matt signed his lease, Mosaic said, okay, this is the first lease that we should have a map with. So we put a map with Matt's in the very logical place that, Wayne, I think you're really familiar with, because there's the hay field, and then there's Skip's field, and then there's that big, like, for lack of a better word, like a dead zone that hadn't been mowed in a couple years. And then you had it mowed, I think the end of last year, you had it mowed, and I actually.
Yeah, we try to mow it annually.
Yeah, and I actually.
Too wet and.
And that's a very wet section, but I actually thought there was a stone wall because the past usage is pretty clear and the current usage is pretty clear. So we based the map from Matt's, which Carol drew up, which got approved by you guys for Matt's lease, which ended up being then the buffer also for skips. And then upon Taylor's request, I went out and just put flags in using like the GPS to see exactly where to put the flags. So the flags that are out there now are matching Matt's, which are matching past use and current use and mowing patterns. That's what's out there now.
System landscape.
And is that why Skip showed up at this meeting?
Do not know. But so that's what's out there now. And it's the line that like, if you went out, it would make sense. It's right at the edge of where Matt worked up. Anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. It sounds like we're going to revisit this next meeting, perhaps if Skip wants to come back.
If Skip requests it to be
Okay.
revisited, I'd be happy to reach out to Cheryl if he doesn't.
Okay, we good? Thank you. General stewardship update.
So the next two items here are things that I requested, and we can try and be as quick as possible. I'm going to invite Julia back up to the microphone.
No reason to be.
Okay. So some of this is sort of building on the goals that we set for the calendar year and previous work that the trust has done on figuring out the best way to oversee the fee lease properties that are being farmed. So we'll start with fee lease forestry management and then go into cover crop. Cheryl, I don't know if it's possible to put the image up that I know I hesitate to ask. So if you bear with us while we put this up. In the past, it looks like we have done, the focus of the stewardship efforts of the trust has been on the farmable tracts. So anything that is tillable and kind of fairly obvious as far as agricultural lands. And not much attention has been paid to the forested sections of our fee properties. And Julia has kindly been working through a forestry kind of assessment of the fee-owned properties and is roughly 50% of the way through. And if you recall, we agreed to do a little pilot clearing project at BHS, which is completed. And so the opportunity kind of presented itself fairly obviously to connect some dots with what would happen if we also took a look at the forested section of BHS in the back. And it became an obvious starting point to think about stewardship approaches for that particular property. And if we are able to look at it, I went back there and snapped a couple of pictures to try to give everybody a visual on what it looks like back there.
As you go up the hill, you get to the far.
This is just past the tillable farmed corn that's there now.
Yeah.
And
For those of us who aren't familiar with the shorthand, can you describe the property location?
yes, it is at 15 Amesbury Lane. And if you drive down in the next couple of days, it'll be fairly obvious to you because it looks like there's just been some recent disturbance. And that's because we agreed to do this trial kind of clearing project right up against the road. So if you were to pull in and walk past that section, which is a sweet little field that's not currently in use, there's.
This is the east side of Amesbury going up the hill. And the clearing has been done along the road on the east side of Amesbury.
So if you were to walk past the corn, you come upon a forested section of property that we own that is, excuse my language, a hot mess. So Julia kindly prepared a report, which I'm going to sort of run through here, and I invite you to interrupt me.
Can I backtrack 1 second? Is the reason why we started looking
Still
at,
trying to get,
I'm trying to get it.
can we just get GIS up or?
well, we can also, I think it's photos that Taylor took, but we can get to there and then the pictures will pop up. They're there.
Okay, great.
So when we started looking at monitoring the.
I was hoping to actually show people which piece of property we're talking about though.
Oh,
sorry. We don't have a visual on that other than the description of the address on Amesbury Lane. So if you were to go,
It's the BHS property if anybody wants, you know.
But no, I'm just reacting to Carter, who probably doesn't know where BHS is because he wasn't here when you acquired it. That's all. I just kind of want.
Neither was I, but I do know where it is because I live in town. So if you were to go toward Crothers, okay, let's just call the restaurant that we all know it as, and take a left on Amesbury from that direction. It's going to be on the right-hand side within 2 minutes. It's right off of the road, completely visible to you.
And from the road, it's a small access road going up, and there's a brand new house. Like if you're facing the access road now, there's a brand new big house for the lot to the right. To the left is a small field. And if you take that access road up, it opens up to like a medium-sized cornfield. And if you cut straight across the cornfield, you're then in the backwoods, which look like this. And so we started doing twice a year monitoring of fee lease properties, which is a pretty small pool. There's 17, and a couple of those are actually 2 and 1. BHS counts as 2 because there's 2 separate parcels. And when we started doing those, we had a whole form and all the questions. Does the farmer have an NRCS grant? When did they put the cover crop down? All that kind of thing. When we started doing those monitoring reports, it became clear that there's woods connected to these properties, but that none of those questions were then relevant. So we tabled the wood stuff to go forward with everything in the field, and then made up a whole different form for the woods. And we're halfway through the fee leased property woods, which brought us to this when Taylor said, is there a property that comes to mind? And I was like, yes, because of that picture.
And I think you actually say in your report that 50% of the forested landscape here is dead, is just dieback. And it looks like there was possibly some type of microburst, storm, and or blight or insect damage that caused a lot of these evergreen trees to topple, to be kind of angled on each other, not necessarily fully toppled. It's really hard to walk back there. It's pretty dense. But this is a representative picture. I took this a couple of days ago. If you were to walk back there now, that's what it looks like.
And just 2 more things. One is, this is a really good example of, we do a lot of aerial monitoring for the annual monitoring reports. And this is something that, as somebody who's like looking at those photos of the aerial photographs a lot, this does not come up as weird in an aerial photograph. You only know this if you go into the woods.
Which I think we should be doing more of. And why we're here talking today is to sort of tee up what I think we could kind of refer to as a pilot project to think about how we would approach this. It's a big ask, I know, but I think that if we just take a small bite at the apple and we try to understand the nature of what it is that we ought to be doing and what the benefits of doing this might look like, we would be much more prepared to sort of come up with a game plan for all of our fee properties. The trust oversees a lot of wooded lots, and so this is a fair bit of work. But just to explain, at this point, the trust provides pretty explicit benefits to town beneficiaries in the form of recreation and hunting. But in terms of forested landscape, I think we all understand there's ecological benefits there. Forest health being an even problem for the town to look at and something for us to think through. And there are agroforestry opportunities on these plots. I don't know if anybody knows the term silvopasture, but that's sort of a more recent hot topic. Julia mentioned that there's a really interesting alley of stone walls that curves into a stream bank, which seems like possibly was used for animals at some point on this property, which is really exciting. And so, beyond that, there's also the benefit potentially on this property or others for logging, for firewood, and also for forest management for the purposes of remediating any fire risks, which you can imagine on a dry year, this is just a terrible thing.
That's the reason why this property stood out the most, is I wasn't really thinking about necessarily logging or firewood or any of the things that Taylor's listing that are also ideas. It's mostly conifers. And I did go back after we spoke and looked at the historic aerial, because you were like, was it an overgrown Christmas tree farm? And it doesn't look planted, but it's like 2 very distinct fields were conifers.
Yeah, they're just cedars.
Yeah.
Into an old field.
But I think there's firs too. I don't think it's all cedar, but I did go back and look because I was like, I don't know, that is a good question. But so it's very, very, very dead. standing, and 45-degree angle conifers. So for somebody like me that's not always lived on the East Coast, it's like, this is, I mean, fire suppression would be the main selling point of this piece of property. It's like wildfires happen in Rhode Island now, and this is, it's like, it's a tinderbox. When I went through, I was like shocked at the condition.
Taylor, can I take this as your first report on the idea of forestry management, and you're gonna continue to do more work and you'll give us continued updates as your thinking evolves?
Yes.
We are?
In a perfect world, what I'm asking for tonight is the support of the trust to start to think about a thoughtful and transparent approach on how we plan to steward the forested fee properties that we have. I think that we need to be really thoughtful. I think there are a lot of steps that we can take. I imagine a lot of this work is going to happen next year, but the thought was, in order to kind of tee up the goal,
Yeah.
concurrent to that, you need to begin a project, a small project, because it will illuminate all the different questions you need to think about, like what exists at present, who should survey that, you know, who are the contractors that might be interested in working on removing some of the logs, do they have any economic value, so on and so forth. So there's a list of questions and goals, RFPs, a budget process associated with this, and what I'm hoping we can do is use this BHS forested land as the start of a very long kind of ongoing process. And I think it's just sort of a blessing. There isn't really anything to sort of suggest at this early of a stage, but potentially at the next meeting, we could have a little bit more to share about what we're thinking and how to approach the project.
Okay.
But Julia recommended this be the very start of that process, and I have to agree. I think it's a really smart idea. It's accessible. It's, you know,
The only other thing I wanted to say is to make sure that we're, you know, and of course with the fee lease, we'd be communicating with the farmers that are using the parcels so that it makes sense for whatever else is going on. This is one of the hunting parcels, for example. Not.
If there are any other comments from I'll just say I'll look forward to chapter 2.
okay, great. Thank you.
I think this is a great idea. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Interested to hear what you find out. Yeah.
Anything else, guys? Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda also stems from the monitoring report process that Julia oversaw for Mosaic for fee lease properties. So just to quickly recap, for the last 2 years, Mosaic has produced a biannual monitoring report for fee-owned parcels that are in agriculture, and even those that aren't, I should say. And so we have 2 years of data. We kind of feel a little bit like, let's not just be hall monitors. Let's use the data we've collected to be a little more proactive and think about upstream solutions to some of the things that keep coming up as problem areas. And that primarily involves cover cropping on our fee-owned parcels. If you farm in this town, you know it's tricky year to year with the level of moisture and timing of planting and all of this. And so kind of curiously, in spite of the data collection effort, no communication has ever sort of made its way to the actual farmers. And so what we are proposing with this cover crop pilot is a communication strategy that directly shares with farmers maybe where they're missing and try to get them before they embark on the cover cropping process so that the trust can say, how can we help you? You know, last year we saw, for instance, there were some areas of your field that there wasn't any germination. Was that due to compaction? Is that due to time of planting and so forth? Julia is really up on the agricultural kind of baseline for this area, and I think has a toolkit that would be valuable to anybody who is uncertain, but obviously with veteran farmers, it's a delicate thing. Nobody wants to see anybody come and tell them what to do and how to do it. But I think that the goal here is to offer the trust resources and expertise to level up and try to get better yields and get our fee parcels and moving in a direction that suggests that we really know what we're doing. So
Okay.
if we have your blessing, Julia and I were thinking that we could come up with a template and timeline to approach farmers and kind of like throw that at the group. Maybe the stewardship subcommittee would take a first pass and then we'll have something to present before we start the process this year. I think we agree that trying to get people before the end of the growing season, when harvest season happens, is smart.
So I heard you just say that it'll come to the stewardship committee
First,
because I'd like Mr. Montgomery to.
without question. So I think we just felt it would be important to sort of tell everybody in town watching and listening that, you know, our hope is to really make the most of the agricultural properties and help farmers.
Yeah.
We want to make their lives as easy as possible. So we're moving away from just data collection into proactive assistance, if you will. So we will get going on that.
And it'll come to the stewardship committee next.
Yeah. Right.
Anything from anyone on this? Okay. I want to publicly apologize to the Aldrich team. This is my fault. I should have at least put you guys at the top of the general stewardship update, and I apologize for not seeing that the first time through. Signage for,
We can, Aldrich,
We could just do it now.
let's just do it now.
To amend the agenda.
Motion to amend the agenda to move Aldrich up to the next agenda item.
second that.
Okay. Sorry, but we're now here, so. Steve,
Okay,
Oh,
do I have a motion? I made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
hi.
All right.
Thank you, Cheryl, for keeping me honest. Steve,
I will try to be as concise as possible, but just to give a little background, I think most of us know the Commons Foundation has posited a small attainable housing development that would create or would cause a proposal for a drainage swale that they asked us to consider that would actually impact or potentially impact land that we have in Southport on the easement. So initially, we had a couple of meetings and we explored some different options, and
you had meetings with
the Common Foundation as well as us, and we had some different options, but the final option that was presented at our last meeting from Don Maderas of Able Engineering was a swale, a drainage swale, and he presented to the board, and it kind of potentially impacted land that we have an easement on, Southworth land. So in order for us to make a judgment as to whether it was acceptable or not, we requested a legal opinion from both an LCAT attorney as well as the DEM, or an island DEM, because they are a co-assignment holder on the property themselves. So long story short, we just received a response from them just a couple of days ago. And unfortunately, I think I shared it with all, and it seems to be generally they commented on the covenants regarding restrictions on the property, and of course they quoted the deed itself that said no activity including but not limited to drainage or flood control activities shall be carried on which are detrimental, which is not a surprise. We were all aware of that from the start, and we wanted to know if this drainage swale impact did fit that definition
of detrimental.
So
So the opinion that you're reading from
right
was written by a lawyer that we've referred the issue to, but the DEM lawyer concurred. So we now have
opinion,
we have commonality.
a collaborative opinion.
Okay.
I would suggest it's just a draft opinion, because there are some things I think that we need to tighten up in terms of the response in my mind. So as a result of that, based on what they provided to us, there were a couple of things that I think we need to clarify. I would suggest we clarify before we can ultimately reach a decision as to whether it's acceptable or not. And those two things that stick out to me anyway is the clarity on the driveway easement. which there is some question as to whether that actually exists or not based on the final survey that was prepared for that a plan in addition to the
This is-
management plan.
Let me just,
Yeah.
this is the quote paper driveway that bisects the Southworth property that the owners had suggested could be used in some sort of land swap.
Right,
Whether or not the land swap's even possible, who knows? But
right.
there's some question as to whether that
That's right.
driveway, paper driveway even exists.
There is some question, and I was at the tax assessor's office just today, since we just got this, and I believe that they've come to a determination, in fact, that that driveway easement may have been entered in the GIS and the plat and lot books in error. So we need to pin that down because I'm not comfortable at this point personally that is the end of the story, but I think we need to pin that down. And the management plan that they referenced that we should abide by,
That who referenced?
that the DEM, well, the both attorneys
The
referenced,
two attorneys, yeah.
yeah, the management plan that we need to abide by to fill the easement, the covenant on the easements. I requested that management plan through DEM, and I have not heard back from them. I sent the email yesterday as soon as I got this letter. So we're still awaiting whether or not there is a management plan and what that management plan says. So
And that management plan would govern, or at least would have input to how the property, the agricultural land is
can be
managed.
used and how it's monitored and what's acceptable and what isn't.
Okay, and that management plan is not a trust management plan, that's a DEM management plan?
Right. That was the responsibility of the DEM, who had the assignment of the deed, second assignment of the deed in conjunction with us.
Because they contributed to the protection of the property with money.
Right.
Okay,
Substantial amount of money. So unfortunately, it's a lot to say that I think there's some more work that needs to be done in order to come up with a final decision, in my view. And unfortunately, that's something I'm sure no one really wants to hear, but that's, in my opinion, I think that's a prudent thing to do.
okay, so that was a lot. Are there any questions?
Question for Steve. I'm not sure I understand your report, but just for clarification, I heard you say that we have two attorneys, one for the trust, one for DEM, who both agree that the easement prohibits any kind of drainage that would be detrimental to the agricultural use of the property. What I didn't hear you say was whether they determined that the proposed drainage would in fact be detrimental.
Well, that's the question. They base their suggestion is based on the land steward, the management plan, and whether or not we consider it detrimental. Because then they are conservation. So they kind of indicated the obvious that no drainage plans can be, according to the deed itself, the language of the easement says no drainage plans can be.
But they haven't said flat out that this
No.
is detrimental, so we still have homework to do
Right.
to determine. So they leave open the door that this could go forward if we can determine that it wouldn't be detrimental.
Right, and I would say this, Carter, that they are not going, the lawyers are not going to determine if it's detrimental or not.
Right.
They're going to rely on our stewardship of the property, our annual monitoring. That's why the management plan is important, that DEM may or may not have. We're trying to find that out. And whether that management plan has anything to say in regard to this. So that's sort of.
It's pretty clear to me in the, you know, no draining or flood control activities, but the thing that's not completely clear to me, which is detrimental to the, you know, to the actual potential agricultural use of the property. I still, I mean, you could make an argument, I suppose, that the drainage impacts what, 7/10 of an acre of agricultural property. So that in and of itself is detrimental.
I think, I don't know why they missed that, but that's That's the sticking point for me. You're taking 0.7. It's not a lot, but it is land out of agriculture. That's the sticking point for me.
Right.
The trust bought that in its entirety. We didn't buy it minus 0.7 acres. That's the part, and then they never addressed that, and that's the part that confuses me a little bit.
Mr. Chairman, may I see?
Of course you may, Mr. Aldrich. Could I ask you to come to the microphone, or is that, okay, thank you.
I hate to simplify, but let me have a go at it anyway.
Yep.
My recollection was that there are two standards here. Drainage detrimental to the agricultural use. And secondly, materiality. I don't know what the 0.7 acres is, but my understanding is that we're seeking permission to put a drainage swale that uses 1,500 feet or something, or 2,000 square feet. In simplifying this, I want to point out that it's hard to imagine that this being detrimental because all the water from the site currently that we're proposing for the housing, all the water to the west of the ridge that was pointed out already comes across the driveway and into the agricultural field. And sometimes the lowest section towards Swamp Road gets a little soggy. Now this swale is going to improve that. That was pretty clear. It was going to take that water that flows over the driveway and direct it under the driveway down this swale to basically some kind of culvert or whatever that goes into the roadside area or buried in the woods there. So I think from our vantage point, it's pretty simple. There's no water that's going to find its way there that doesn't already. There's only a tiny bit of land compared to the amount of land that is in agriculture there. I mean, 2,000 square feet of the 400,000 or 500,000 square feet. And we don't think that's material. So it doesn't seem detrimental to us, and it doesn't seem material. Otherwise, we wouldn't have, if we thought it was, we wouldn't have proceeded this far. So I just beg your indulgence that we try to say to the lawyers, okay, we understand it can't be detrimental and it can't be material. And then try to make the case with the DEM and yourselves that this is not a problem. That's my plea.
Thank you. Yes,
Questions?
Very brief. It's not 0.7 acres, it is 0.0.
Jim, can you come up here, please, just in case someone's watching at home? Thanks.
Just as a simple point of mathematics, this is not 0.7 acres, which is 30,000 square feet. It's 0.07 acres. It's 10 times lower than what has been presented at this meeting.
At this point, discussion?
I think we wait for review of the management plan from DEM.
We're required to. Right. We don't have the choice. I mean, I appreciate that, Mr. Aldrich, that this is an extension of the process, but my reading of the letter suggests that they are comfortable. It's a punt. They are comfortable offering the legal opinion that if it is deemed detrimental, we cannot allow it. But they are not in a position to deem it detrimental. So they pointed us to those people who would have that expertise to be able to deem it detrimental or not. And that's what we need to wait for.
What is the management plan? Who is responsible for that?
The management plan is the specific one that is referenced in the assignment to the DEM, to the state of Rhode Island.
So what would our next step be in determining the conclusion for this?
I've reached out to the DM requesting a copy of the management plan.
And it's up to us to review the plan, or is it up to DEM to review the plan?
Well, they're gonna have an input, they're gonna have an opinion for sure.
As it was explained to me, we have, in simple terms, we have the first bite at the apple. If they don't agree with our judgment being a secondary assignment holder, they can refute what we decide anyway and, you know, dispute it if they'd like an appeal.
So the committee will look at the plan and then come back to the next meeting and make a recommendation to the board?
Well, we requested the management plan. So I guess it would be dependent on us.
The letter.
But yeah.
So the process is outlined in.
Okay.
It actually is the steward.
Right.
But we don't make the management plan, right?
Correct.
No.
Okay. I'm sorry, but we're continuing through the process that we are required to follow, given our stewardship of the property and DEM's position as second holder on the conservation easement.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to repeat a request I made last time. It would be wonderful if we could have a sense of whether this body, whether you believe this to be detrimental and material or not. We're just slugging away here, and now we're in the hands of lawyers and someone who does a management plan, I don't quite understand.
Well, I think I was not personally involved in the meetings, Peter, so I'm going to say what I think was an opinion that was offered to your team some time ago, which was this would be much better if you kept it within the right of way. And for perhaps a very good reason, you chose not to do that. And now you've come to us for the ability to have structure outside of the right of way. And so you've necessitated us working through that request, which unfortunately brings in a second party, DEM. It brings in legal review and all that. So
I'm not criticizing, I'm just asking if this is found not to be detrimental and immaterial. Is this something that you all would support?
I'd like to answer that. My opinion is if it's not found to be detrimental, then yes, it is something that I would support.
Thank you.
But there's also a consideration of the easement, in my mind, because the easement, I don't think you can violate the terms of the easement, in my mind, because the initial easement holders we have a responsibility to them to uphold that easement. So that's the quandary that I'm in. I understand
In the development easement.
Right.
But the easement language, as the two legal opinions determine, the easement says no drainage shall be introduced that's detrimental, but the easement language doesn't prohibit drainage that is not found to be detrimental. So to me, that is abiding by the terms of the easement.
I agree with Wayne, because I think
it's
impacting,
you can't take land that has an easement on.
I'd suggest that in light of the letter that we received,
Yeah.
our interpretation of what's
It's not.
detrimental is somewhat irrelevant because we are pointed to two specific opinions that we need to obtain to determine whether or not it's detrimental. So we can only act based on whether or not those opinions are, found to be detrimental or not detrimental. Our opinion is been removed from the process.
Whose opinion matters now?
Pardon?
Whose opinion matters now? You said two opinions?
Yes, one relates to the management plan and the steward. And the other is the tenant farmer.
We've spoken with the tenant farmer. All right, I said my piece.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Signage for fee-owned properties?
All right, this is gonna be quick. We got a price of $55 per sign, just for the sign. For that, I've counted up 7 properties I'd like to put the signs on. And so I'd like I don't know, $500.
$40 for Chris's work or something,
Pardon me?
and the money for Chris's work.
So it's what?
$40 per sign if we do a number of them.
So it's 55 plus 40?
Mhm.
$100 a sign.
Yeah.
Basically.
Plus, I request a budget of, I had 500, so it's 700 to print up these.
So,
And then installation will be a different ballgame.
sorry, these would be similar to the sign that
Verona.
at Kudo now?
Yeah.
For someone that's not familiar with it, what is the sign? The objective, what does the sign show somebody who comes across?
Do we have a picture of it?
I don't have one with me. It's our new logo, which is the lighthouse with the fields in front. And then it just has the name of the property on it.
The one, I don't know if you've noticed the sign at the Narana Preserve on Colebrook Road.
One on Goulart's, in front of Goulart's.
Yeah, Lord has one
No,
on Willow.
Recognize the
It's just a, I feel that it's good that, people know what we own and what they own. A small price to pay for that. So I either make a motion that I have a budget of say $800 to have these signs printed up. And we'll
Let's second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. I'm gonna jump in the men's room, but the Algonquin pipeline work is next.
Sure.
Taylor, excellent job on submitting our concerns to the Algonquin people.
Thank you so much. I think that the intent of having this on the agenda is to talk about how we can be more than just sort of sitting on ice. We have submitted our concerns. They've been registered. To some extent, there is no clear outcome that is evident to anybody that has looked at this. And so the thought is, where do we go from here? And I would like to suggest 3 sort of approaches that we might want to take. And I'm happy to have any and all feedback here. The first is whether or not we want to reach out to CRMC and find out if they are aware of the work being proposed. I know that there hadn't been any complaints filed from CRMC with the previous Secana River pipeline project, which is too bad and sort of a strange thing to know, that there's sort of a different standard for industrial work as compared to civilian work. But I think in some regards, Carolyn might be best suited to address whether or not this would be a smart idea to reach out to CRMC. Or if you have any thoughts.
CRMC jurisdiction only extends to West Main Road, so they actually have very little impact. DEM would be from if you're concerned about a wetlands perspective.
Yeah, that was the next
entity more appropriate from wetlands permitting. Algonquin, Enbridge, whatever, will need to go through the permitting process with them. But it's more at what stage of the project the Ag Trust has any leverage to shape what happens, or there's compensation received, or the scope of the work or the extent of the work. Once it gets approved, they go through permitting, and that'll have to do.
Yes, so DEM is a separate approach that I was going to mention, but as far as CRMC, I mean, is it worth our while to prod them and sort of get a sense, take the temperature, or?
Gut reaction is probably a big waste of time, but if it ever hurts to place a phone call, who knows?
Okay. With respect to DEM, I know that this came up in terms of the details that have been shared about how they plan to actually construct the pipeline, and some of the style of construction involves little dams and like destroying sensitive ecological spaces. And it would be a much higher cost project if they were to be told to approach this in a different manner than just clear cutting and doing whatever they want, wherever they want. And I think that if there's any contact or person at DEM you think might be the right entry point to try to build a strategy around, at least in the most sensitive parts of this pipeline path, to just encourage or at least perhaps like instigate some conversations that might go nowhere. But I think maybe we can work together and find out who at DEM would be the best person to start the conversation with.
Sure.
Okay. And the final approach that I was thinking about is Gabe Ammo, and whether or not we want to go the direction of rattling that cage and finding out if there's any support at the state level for the town. I think in previous projects in Massachusetts that I had been a part of, the state reps were really helpful and offered a lot of resources, and they're the big guns and they can pull levers that we can't. So Gabe is in town probably for the 250 celebration. I've seen him here many times. I think it might be worth the trust formally reaching out to his office to see what they might be able to do.
Be limited just to House of Representatives, but we include like Senator Whitehouse. I mean, if we're gonna broaden it and try to get as much, exposure as possible, I'm not saying that it was up in anything, but
Yeah.
maybe that's something too. I don't know.
The other thing to keep in mind is this project is affecting other parts of Rhode Island, and there's been a fair bit more conversation around elements of the project in Boroughville and in Cumberland. There's been very little discussion or public participation here in Little Compton. So it might be worth talking to.
So
Is that something Kate's keeping an eye on, do you know, or
Excuse me?
is that something Kate Sales is keeping an eye on or not?
I would not know. She probably knows something, but I don't think it's been a legislative issue at all.
I think that I'm happy to take a stab at drafting letters and reaching out to folks, but I think it would be open to any trustee to participate in the process or have, pick up the phone and call. It's pretty simple.
Problem helping out. I'm just wondering, did NRCS, someone had a comment, did they submit comments relative to the project? Because we have obviously we have properties that we hold with them, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know we reach out to them, but I can't remember off the top of my head if they're not.
I thought they were going to have a meeting with Algonquin.
Direct.
I believe they did have a meeting, but I'm aware that they submitted comments in the same manner that we did.
They did.
And as I think you were in the men's room, but I believe that we are just in this strange on ice waiting stage, which is uncomfortable. And I think that the purpose of the next item on our list to do would be to poke all the bears that we can and see if we can't get ahead of it and stir up some controversy with, doesn't sound like CRMC is going to be a good use of our time, but DEM possibly would be helpful. And our reps.
I'd be happy to draft a letter on something that you tell.
Okay, yeah, happy to.
That'd be great.
I would say we could almost use the same letter for almost every contact, right?
Yep.
Most likely. I think that we are looking to try to steer the project scope and methods in the least detrimental way that we can. I think we're towing a difficult line, but we'll see what we can do.
Well, thank you, Steve.
Good thing about this the pipeline is portion of it is gonna be bored instead of directly dug. So that's less impact. I don't know how much. And another thing, we should be thankful that they're not gonna use, I don't think, any trust land for staging area. It's all gonna be land that the DEM has an easement on, so that kind of eases our burden.
Take the wins where you can. Take the wins where you can, yeah.
So, that's good for us anyways.
Carol.
Could I make a few comments as a member of the public?
Of course.
Even on my resident hat.
And your what hat?
Put on my resident hat, not speaking, I mean, I'm always thinking about the trust, but speaking just as a resident of Little Compton. I do not have admittedly much experience with a large energy project like this. So I'm not as familiar as with the process, the regulatory process as I wish I would. But my feeling about it is that this is a train that's moving. It's probably going to keep moving. Waiting and seeing is fine, but probably the sooner the trust or the town or whoever entity has any leverage gets on it, the more likely you are to see some tangible outcome from that. While I would love to see this project not happen to avoid those impacts, particularly when they are serving natural gas to the city of Newport, which is, maybe not the best idea in my opinion for a lot of reasons. I think the real option is to be loud and vocal about ways that the project could be improved. And failing that, they also need express permission from the Ag Trust. They've reached out to other landowners. I'm sure they are being compensated, other landowners, for the use of the property, for staging areas, for things that are going to occur. Once this gets to the approval process, that ability to negotiate or to try to get something in return is going to be gone. So even if at the end of the game, what you're ending up achieving is a financial return that allows you to do conservation or restoration elsewhere, support, whatever other projects you have, like at least it's something rather than being caught saying, oh, we didn't know how to play, so we just watched and missed out. They've got money, they have options. Wayne, to your point, the original conversation we had with them, they're boring in an area, they're boring under West Main Road. They're boring in an area that is close to a residence on the farmland up off Old Windmill Hill. They're boring under a public park that public outrage exploded around, and Diamond Hill in Cumberland that just had a bunch of infrastructure built. They're boring under the entire area of that. Obviously, I'm not sure it's a better choice. It's obviously a harder, more expensive choice, but nobody's asking them to consider these things here. So I think there's a lot of things that probably need to happen if we want to have any influence or return on anything about this. Also, just one other point, the question was asked about NRCS comments. My takeaway, the most interesting thing about the NRCS comments that were registered at the same time of Taylor's back in July was that one federal agency cannot condemn or take adverse possession on land holdings of another federal agency. So NRCS's letter was quite strong in saying, you just can't do this outside of the easement area. Extra extensions and staging areas and temporary workspaces are totally unacceptable. Whether that holds up or not, I don't know, but it feels like that's kind of the right starting point, even if you lose ground from there, to come out, from that position.
Thank you. Ready to move on? Okay. Land protection. Are there any, I can run through them, half an hour for Brady. Weren't we waiting on?
Tour,
Say again?
a tour.
Yeah.
And that's the only one we have the tour need for right now? Or is that not true? Okay.
Association,
Say again?
Little Compton Scout Association.
Okay,
Boy Scout property, we have toured.
all right. Let's get a date then to do that, those two together. Okay. York's,
We have toured it. We can discuss an executive session.
Okay. Great.
Fontaine, can we take that off?
Well, I thought that was coming
I
off.
thought we were gonna remove that one, yeah.
Take that off, please.
Yeah, that came off. The Nature Conservancy,
I don't think we have an update on that. We're still waiting for the
Any update, John, on the Bumblebee easement?
He has reviewed the deed development rights. Well, insofar as she agrees that it's a format that we can use, she's got to finish reviewing it and get it back to us.
Okay.
Is there somebody I can feed the revised draft back to? I'm just being cognizant of the time here. Ideally, we'll get this, before your next meeting.
I forget, Mike, I think Mike.
Mike and I were working on.
Okay, to Steve.
I'd be happy to take it.
Okay, thank you. And then just, I know there's no updates on a couple of those, the Scout Association. We've gotten the appraisals. We'll discuss that in exec. Okay.
Yep, Mittendorf and exec.
Yeah. All right, recreation hunting, anything, Steve?
Well, quickly, I know it's getting late, but we met this past week, and we reviewed the applications, the new applications. We had 35 applications, 16 properties, and we had 35, we were able to place hunters on all 35 hunters on those 16 properties. So we're in the process of, finalizing those. Cheryl actually is doing all the work here, going to the police department and notifying the hunters by the end of the month. They should be aware of the hunters that they've been granted permission to hunt, and then we're on our way.
Fantastic. Anything else?
No.
John, Niche Conservancy, anything of note? Okay.
He's asked to share a little update.
Yeah. Wait for that. New applications, Lori Shankar, 25-1-1.
Motion, we accept the application. The usual.
Okay,
I'll second.
any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay.
Should we assign, Don, can we assign, two-person team or someone to?
Please. Great idea.
So we can just move it along, maybe?
Well,
What's the next?
we can assign a team. We need to score it.
An appraisal,
Say again?
appraisal.
An appraisal. So why don't we get a two-person team assigned? We'll get an appraisal done up for, for a certain amount of money, and then we'll get Carol to score it. May I have a motion for an appraisal?
The question is, if we were to score it and it doesn't meet the scoring criteria, why approve of an appraisal if we haven't reached that point?
It's a good question. I think we've generally gotten an appraisal on all properties.
Sometimes that
Because the scoring could have.
governs whether we want it or not. We can do it the other way, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
To me, if the scoring's high enough and the price is low enough.
Appraisal's too high and it's
Right.
low, then appraisal is low and it goes low and we want it, and
I'm not against an appraisal at the right time. It just seems like, determine whether there's initial interest
Okay.
before we spend the appraisal.
On this piece of property, I think you might be right. So, okay. All right, anybody want to volunteer to take it on? As a two-person team?
I'll be a member of the two-person team.
Fantastic.
I'll help.
Great. Okay, thank you.
An order scoring.
Would you please score it?
Yes.
I just did. Okay. I think with that, that will end the open session tonight. Thank you all for coming.
You.
Eric?